What's going on, people? This is Joshua from Future Filmmaker 940 Reviews again, giving you guys my thoughts on G.I. Joe Retaliation, which is based on the Hasbro G.I. Joe toys, comics, and media franchise. This is the second film in the live-action franchise following the very successful G.I. Joe The Rise of Cobra. This is directed by John M. Chu, who later to go on do such things as Crazy Rich Asians, and also recently this year In the Heights. And also this is written by Reese and Paul Wernick, who wrote stuff as the Deadpool movies and of course Zombieland Double Tap. So that's a very creative team you got here for this movie, and this features an ensemble cast of Byung-hun Lee, Ray Park, Arnold Vosloo, Jonathan Pryce, and Channing Tatum reprising their roles from the first film, while Luke Bracey and Robert Baker takes over the role of Cobra Commander, replacing Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and stars new actors like DJ Cotrona, Adrian Palicki, Ray Stevenson, Dwayne Johnson, Elodie Young, and Bruce Willis, rounding out the principal cast. This came out in 2013, and in this movie, with Cobra operative Zartan still impersonating the President of the United States of America, the terrorist organization is able to frame the Joes as traitors and have nearly annihilated them in airstrike. Cobra Commander places the world's leader under Cobra's control and gains access to their advanced warheads. Outnumbered and outgunned, the surviving Joes form a plan with the original G.I. Joe, General Joseph Corton, to overthrow the Cobra Commander and his allies. The first movie, as I stated, this was a very successful film and a sequel would be developed. And originally this was going to be called G.I. Joe Cobra Strikes, and Stephen Sommers was originally on board to direct. But what happened, Paramount announced that John Chu would direct the sequel and there would be Retaliation. And this would not only be a soft reboot, but also a sequel to Rise of Cobra, since a lot of people saw the first movie and they didn't like it, of course. Also, unfortunately, some of the cast would not be in this. Like, Sienna Miller turned down to do it, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was busy doing Dark Knight Rises, and Rachel Nichols decided not to come back for this, and nor did Marlon Wayans. So, we would have some completely new characters, and when I first saw the trailers, I'm like, this is completely different from the first movie. But I still went in. This is 2012, 2013, and initially this was supposed to be released in June of 2012. But this movie was further delayed in order to convert the movie to 3D, which is, honestly, I didn't see this in 3D, but anyone who saw it in 3D, they could easily tell you that it was not necessary. But I still went in with some curiosity and open mind, and when I first saw this, I didn't like it. I didn't. I really enjoyed the first movie, but this one, it felt off. And over the years, until I rewatched it a few more times, I enjoyed it a little bit more, but I still had issues with it. I still didn't think it was a great film, but it did have its merits. So I rewatched this back in July, and before the G.I. Joe Snake Eyes, and I initially planned to review it, which is why it's taking me until now, we're in September, to finally get to this. I rewatched it back in July, and I can say this: I like G.I. Joe Retaliation just fine for what it is. It's definitely a step down from Rise of Cobra. It definitely has a lot of issues here, but once again, it embraces what it is: a stupid, mindless, but fun action movie that is still fun to watch. And the best way I'm going to just go into this review is to go into the things I didn't like, because I mainly want to go into those first. Ultimately, the things that I didn't like. I'm going to start with the negatives here. One of them is, of course, the underutilization and the explanations they give for some of the other Joes like Scarlet and Duke. And also, of course, Ripcord here. The explanations that they give for them, I just really didn't like what they were doing with those other characters. I felt like those characters weren't really... It felt like they were heavily missed while watching this one. It was like, okay, I like some of these newer cast members, but it just felt like I felt like they got rid of them either because was either a soft reboot, or this was just another case where they couldn't get the other actors back, which is a shame because I did enjoy the characters like Rachel Nichols as Scarlet and Marlon Wayans as Ripcord, and also Heavy Duty and Sansa McGraw from the previous film. And I was a bit disappointed that they weren't able to come back here, and it was very upsetting. But I was still very much into what they were trying to do. And I kind of give a little bit of credit for having the balls to get rid of them, but without an explanation, it's just not the same. It's just not. It doesn't really make much sense. Also, another negative I will say is what they do with Duke. Now, I know this is mainly due to the fact because Channing Tatum, who is good in the movie, by the way, for his little screen time, due to the fact that he did not want to be too attached to the franchise, which is not very cool. But I understand why he decided to get one to be killed off. But I felt like they could have just done it a little better. I wish we could have had a little bit more time with them. And I know that was mostly due to the fact that he didn't want to come back, but it felt like, okay, this isn't very nice. And also because he had complications with 21 Jump Street and also Magic Mike, so with test screenings and stuff, the real reason was to reshoot scenes to straighten up the character relationships with him. And yeah, I will say that I get why they did this, but it's like you should just kept him alive. He was one of the only few surviving members. Anyway. Also, another problem I do have with this is that this movie doesn't know what it wants to be, because this movie goes into some different directions as the first movie, which I'm not complaining about, since some people who didn't like the first movie was upset about this, and I can understand the complaints. I can understand why they felt like they had to do what they had to do. But I just feel like if you're going to be a sequel and follow up on the events of the first movie. And that's why I felt like they could have done it. But if you were going to make this different from the first movie, that you mess with continuity of the first movie, this could easily still just been full-on reboots. There's also some very bland dialogue here in areas, which, big no-no, that is not the case. And the dialogue in here is kind of crap, considering the fact that this is Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese, the writers of Deadpool and Zombieland, and also they wrote Six Underground, so that is a bit of a complaint that is to be dealt with. And they also wrote the movie Life, of course, so I feel like the writing here could have been at least more stronger in some areas. Some characters you don't really care much for, like some of our new characters, but I still enjoyed most of them, for the most part. There was also a couple characters I felt were underutilized, like Firefly by Ray Stevenson, who is really trying in the movie, but I just didn't think he didn't have enough there. Also, Flint was a bit underutilized in the movie too. So there were some character underutilizations here, and the movie did go on for at least there was some crazy editing in some scenarios. So those are pretty much the negatives I do have for it, because everything else in here I do enjoy to a certain extent, and it was keeps this movie afloat. Or I also forgot another issue with G.I. Joe Retaliation is that I didn't really care too much for the plan of our main villain. Cobra Commander, he's awesome, he has a great look to him, and I do think the actor does a good job. And also Zartan, like, how is he still alive? But it's just, I didn't really get into the plan of him having to destroy the Joes. I think they could have came up with something else a little bit more entertainingly fun, but I get what they were trying to do. So, no harm, no foul. The things I do like in this movie, however, is the action scenes. The action scenes are well shot, well choreographed, and well directed. John M. Chu works very well with Stephen Windon, very renowned cinematographer, and the camera work is very well done. He's done some very notable camera work for movies like The Fast and Furious, Deep Blue Sea, Tuxedo, Anacondas, The Hunt for the Blood Orchid, House of Wax, Fast 5, Fast 6, Furious 7, even cinematography for F9, even though that movie's not very good, that's one of the things I like in it. Also, he's doing camera work for The Gray Man, so give yourself some credit for that with the cinematography. And John M. Chu, he is a very competent director. He gets some good shots. He knows how to execute the story, how it's supposed to be executed. He doesn't take it too seriously, but he doesn't take it too over the top to the point where it is just another case of the Fast and Furious situation. It's the right tone. It does what it needs to do, and it gets its job done for all some of the goofy stuff in here. Even though the movie does get a little goofy at points, but I guess that's what it kind of fits. Now let's get into the performances. First off, I do like our main character this time around is DJ Cotrona. He plays, of course, Dashiell, aka Flint. He's the rookie sniper, and while there's not much development to him, I will say I liked his presence. He was a badass, and he did do a very good job in the role. Also, next up, I do have to give credit to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the second in command of the team captain of the G.I. Joes. He does a great job as Roadblock. He was initially going to be in the first movie, and when he was in it, he was one of the reasons why I wanted to see it too, because I like The Rock. He's a very charismatic actor. I can't wait to see him in the next movie next year he's got, which is Black Adam. He'll be finally playing his dream role. So I definitely can't wait to see him, what he does with that. And he does good in this movie. He does a really good job. He's a heavy machine gunner, second in command. He's a badass. He's very charismatic. He does what he has to do. Channing Tatum, for his small part, is Duke. I think he does a very good job in it as well. Zartan, aka Jonathan Pryce, is President of the United States. He does a good job in the role for what he's given. He does what he's supposed to do. I will also say Ray Park and Ray Park is Snake Eyes. Once again, is a badass. I love Snake Eyes as a character. And here they still have that whole rivalry that's going to them. And I enjoyed him this time around. And the suit is much better this time around compared to the first movie. Byung-hun Lee as Storm Shadow, I once again liked him in the role as well. So he does a really good job in his role for what is required. You also have Adrian Palicki taking over the Scarlet part, but it's Jay Burnett, aka Lady J, the counterintelligence officer. And I think she does a fine job. She did what she had to do. Yes, they do make her a bit of a sex object, but you know, I can kind of live with that. But I kind of feel like they should make her more than that. But she does get the job done. She does do what she's supposed to do. You also have, of course, Elodie Young as Kim Arashikaj Jinx, which I will say Elodie Young is a very well-known actress. She'd play Electra Nachos in the second season of Daredevil and The Defenders. She is from France, of course, so I do respect that. She was also in the remake of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo for a little bit, and Gods of Egypt, and Secret Society, which I thought she was one of the few good things in it. And she's also in The Hitman's Bodyguard. I enjoyed her there as well. So I will say that she did a good job in the role. She is the apprentice of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow's cousin. And she has some pretty badass roles. She also has a really good look to her as well. She's pretty badass for what she's had to do. And she's also very gorgeous and all. So that is obviously a plus. Bruce Willis is Bruce Willis. He does fine as General Joe Coulson. He's a retired general and the founder of G.I. Joe's, but I don't think they did much with him as expected. I will say this is one of the last few movies besides Looper and of course to a certain extent Glass where he's actually giving a care, because all of his other movies, his direct-to-video stuff including this year's Cosmic Sin, his look on his face says it all. He does not give a shit about this anymore. So, and it's good to have him here, watching him here, seeing that he tries. So, also I did enjoy him in Glass, and also in the Lego Movie second part, and the remake of Death Wish. I'm one of the only few who enjoy that. So, he's got a couple other direct-to-video projects and stuff. So, at this point, he's just collecting a paycheck. So. But yeah, I think the cast in the movie is really good. They do good for all what's required of them. I will say the score and some of the and mostly the visual effects at times are very well done. It's a very good score by Henry Jackman. You do have a lot of great visual effects shots, some iffy CGI points, but there is some that is really good. I didn't think this movie needed to be in 3D though. That was not necessary. And I will say that there's a lot of intense action sequences here that had me excited, had me on the edge of my seat. There's some good comedy at times. Another thing I can also say with this is that the editing is fast-paced. It's an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 50 minutes, 110 minutes. So it gets you in and out, and it knows what its job, and it does its job what it's supposed to do. So in that sense, I can definitely give the movie credit for that, because it was trying to be a fun, entertaining action movie and nothing else. Overall, G.I. Joe Retaliation is a fine, entertaining, decent action film with the G.I. Joe characters. While it's definitely a step down from the Rise of Cobra, it does have enough good things in it to make it an entertaining film. The walk is charismatic, I do like the rest of the cast, the action is fun, and at the very least, if you look at this as a dumb, stupid action movie, I think you will enjoy it. But if you're one of those people who liked G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, or hate G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, but like this one, that's completely fine. And if you're someone who liked the first G.I. Joe movie, then you won't like this as much. Now, the opinions out there are spoken for himself, but I enjoy it despite a lot of the problems this has, and I'm willing to give G.I. Joe Retaliation a middle badly, because it is an entertaining but flawed guilty pleasure. In the comment section down below, what did you guys think of my thoughts on this? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Or are you somewhere right in the middle? All my social media links in the description box down below. I would like to thank you all so much for watching these G.I. Joe reviews. Thank you guys so much for your patience. All my social media links in the description box down below. If you would like some notes about Cash App, you can do that as well. My Amazon wish list is also in the description box down below, so be sure to like this video, comment down below in this video, share this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.